Chapter 21. The surfboards were waiting for them on the beach. Oldest did not hesitate, grabbing one of the boards and wading straight out towards the rather intimidating waves. She followed suit and was waist deep when she felt the old man's presence requesting to connect. So, step one, you gotta get under the wave, came in that strange remembrance communication, along with an impression, like a vague memory that expanded and clarified. It contained impressions from Oldest's own surfing. When the first wave came rushing towards her, she felt as if her body immediately knew what to do, diving under the rolling force and feeling the power wash over her. She swam up to the lineup, never having heard that word before. It was there now, along with her knowing instinctively where the best place was to catch a wave. She saw Oldest already on his board riding a wave effortlessly, then spotted the next inbound one. She caught it, surfing her first wave as if she'd done it for years. It was exhilarating, her mind and body fully in tune, guided by subtle whispers from her new self. An exhilarating sensation. Oldest was already back out, waiting for her. She paddled back out to the lineup and sat up on her board next to him. He grinned, eyes sparkling. Looks like you got a hang of that part. Looks like you got the hang of that part. Looks like you got the hang of that part. She grinned back, excitement flooding her, both from riding the wave and even more from the experience of learning a new skill in an instant like that. Next lesson, he said simply, taking a deep breath before sliding off his board and plunging down into the ocean. She did the same, filling her lungs and dipping in after him, far below the waves. Her chest tightened, her body already requesting another breath. Oldest voice sounded in her mind. Your body can stay down for close to an hour, even more if you conserve your oxygen. Trust in your intuition. You will know when you need to surface. She still felt nervous. It was strange to go so long without a breath, but her intuition told her that she was fine. So she followed Oldest as he swam even deeper towards a cave below. The water darkened around them, becoming a shifting twilight as shafts of dim, silvery blue light filtered down from above. Vibrant green patches of algae drifted slowly. Tiny fish and delicate marine creatures moved quietly around them in this underwater sanctuary. The tranquil beauty of it all brought back memories of the mysterious depths beneath the ocean city. She found Oldest meditating, floating cross-legged in the middle of the cave. Little fish swimming around him like orbiting rings. It was beautiful, mesmerizing. If you would join me, I would like to show you something. Oldest sent her another memory, guidance of how to float perfectly centered beside him, and then focus her mind on nothing, become pure, unattached awareness. She crossed her legs, mirroring his pose, and followed the instructions. Her mind became quiet. As her mind went blank, her awareness expanded. She sensed the school of fish swimming around them. She felt her new self there, part of her, yet separate, following constantly, exploring the endless ocean of information around her, seeking only her attention for direction and guidance, without a will of its own. In this peaceful state, she received an invitation from Oldest, inviting her to connect to him. Reaching towards him with her thoughts, she connected effortlessly, slipping into the vast, infinite expanse of his mind. She saw its depth and complexity immediately, felt how he connected intimately to every aspect of the station, the subtle hum of life and energy that flowed through it, the harmonious dance of its countless interconnected systems. For a moment, she was reminded of her ship, the calm, reassuring feeling she had after checking its systems, sitting above the humming engine and knowing everything was running smoothly. She drifted deeper into this communion, feeling a profound sense of connection as she explored his mind alongside him. She even found her little bud, saw its joyful abandonment of centuries-old routines to become her companion. They remained together in this shared meditative state, suspended in timelessness, bonded through silence and understanding. When they finally moved, the fish all dispersed, and they swam back up to the surface and body surfed back towards the beach. They removed their wetsuits and left them lying on the beach, walking quietly towards a nearby hut overlooking the waves. They shared a drink in comfortable silence, savoring the peaceful moments together. Oldest told her he would be busy for a day or two and encouraged her to enjoy the time, to relax and explore. Yet the following morning, she woke up with a compelling urge. Something deep inside was drawing her back to the room with the ancient object. She needed to understand the truth, the story behind what the 500 had achieved, the greatest project humanity had ever undertaken. She rose from bed and stepped outside, heading purposefully towards the entrance that led down into the depths of the station. As she walked, she experimented gently with her newfound abilities, learning to control how deeply she immersed herself. She found she could push her augmented mind away just enough for the experience to feel familiar, the way it had always been before the PBAI. This was comforting. She remembered Oldest mentioning that when his distributed mind became overloaded with complex projects, he would sometimes retreat into his simpler self, painting, fishing, something mundane and grounding. Inspired by this thought, she imagined herself flying leisurely around the dome with her wings, solving mental puzzles as she glided effortlessly through the air. Then an idea struck her. She would create a pair of wings for Oldest as a gift. Walking onwards, she called up her original wing design, quickly adjusting the details to perfectly suit the unique conditions within the biodome. She ran a few simulations, carefully tweaking the parameters until the simple AI control was optimized. When satisfied, she connected directly to the manufacturing system and submitted the specs. Almost instantly, a timer appeared, counting down a few hours until the wings would be ready. Soon, she found herself standing before the door to the mysterious chamber. She paused for a moment, savoring the anticipation of uncovering one of the universe's greatest mysteries. At the gentle touch of her mind, the door slipped open silently, and she stepped inside. The room had transformed completely since her last visit. It was alive now, swirling and teeming with flowing streams of information, spiraling in mesmerizing patterns around the object on the pedestal, and linking outwards in intricate webs to the strange, luminous writing along the walls. She returned to the beginning, standing before the familiar logo from the tablet. As she watched, vivid images of the 500 appeared around her, replaying the moment they discovered the mysterious object, their initial wonder and intense search. Her perspective zoomed outwards until she saw the entire galaxy spread before her, illuminated pathways tracing the routes this particular object had traveled compared to other ancient stones known to science. Immediately, the discrepancies became clear. She imagined how the 500 must have felt upon realizing what they had discovered, probably not unlike the awe and excitement she experienced now. Moving along the wall, she examined the numbers and complex formulas again. This time they made perfect sense. She could clearly see how they pointed towards an explanation beyond the known physics of the times, revealing that the object either originated from a radically different place than all other studied matter, or that the very laws of physics had somehow shifted in ways previously unimaginable. Then came the breakthrough. She marveled at the ingenuity that had solved it. All those augmented minds had struggled, stumped by the paradox, until Aisha Khalil brilliantly reframed the problem. Her insight not only explained the object's impossible origin, but also unlocked the revolutionary technology capable of guiding and manipulating gravity and quantum fields. It was mesmerizing to see how this solution seamlessly connected with established science, rippling through known theories and subtly refining the fundamental mode of reality. Next came the theories about layered universes, each universe arising from an older one. The universes varied widely, their physical laws shaped by initial conditions. Gravity might be stronger or weaker, matter ratios might differ, and the rate of expansion could vary dramatically. If any universe deviated too far from an ideal set of conditions, it would become barren, either collapsing too quickly or expanding endlessly without forming atoms. These lifeless universes were called dead ends by Oldest and his team. Their attention focused on universes similar to their own, those capable of supporting new worlds and intelligent life. Yet, even these theories were burdened with uncertainties and difficult to prove conclusively. To truly test their understanding, the teams conceived an unprecedented experiment to collapse a star in hopes of creating a universe. First, they had to invent an extensive range of new technologies, instruments capable of monitoring every detail of the star, from its solar ejecta down to the fusion-driven heart. They needed to detect, measure, and influence magnetic fields and gravitational forces with unparalleled precision. Nearly all the combined brainpower of the 500 was drawn into this monumental task, each member eager to play their part. Even with their enhanced minds, it still took years before they felt ready to begin. Fortunately, the perfect candidate star was relatively close. Alpha Centauri A. It orbited closely with Alpha Centauri B, and the only star closer to Earth, Proxima Centauri, was too small to trigger the powerful implosion needed to breach reality and birth a new universe. The journey took 10 years, with another 5 spent meticulously setting up the project. Some of the 500 traveled on to Proxima Centauri, where they began terraforming a planet orbiting perfectly within its Goldilocks zones. Meanwhile, the rest reshaped the orbits of Alpha Centauri A and B. Alpha Centauri B was carefully nudged towards Proxima, entering a graceful orbit that would slowly spiral towards Sol over 1,000 years. Eventually, other stars inhabited by the scattered members of the 500 would join them in a cosmic ballet around humanity's original star. But Alpha Centauri A had a different fate. She moved further along the narrative displayed on the wall, entranced as the star appeared in stunning, vivid detail. Data streamed around her, revealing atomic movements and quantum behaviors tracked with unprecedented accuracy. She watched as someone pressed the button. Time slowed to a crawl. For an instant, the star's fusion core reversed, briefly absorbing energy instead of releasing it. This tiny pause was enough for the star's immense outer layers to collapse inwardly violently. A moment later, fusion reignited explosively, generating pressure so immense that the fabric of reality itself tore. Within seconds, a black hole formed and expanded. Alongside it, the display showed a simulation of what occurred beyond the Schwarzschild radius. A new universe was indeed blossoming into existence. She watched in awe as the infant universe grew, paused, and then suddenly collapsed, blinking out of existence. It had been all over in mere seconds. The experiment had succeeded. Creating a universe was possible. She continued along the wall, immersed in the unfolding narrative. After the first experiment, the 500 had meticulously analyzed the data, refining their models. Why hadn't the first universe lasted longer? Could they prolong its existence? Could they transport matter from the parent universe into its offspring? Driven by these questions, the 500 developed new theories and groundbreaking technologies, steadily increasing their control over the immense processes. But eventually their progress stalled. Another experiment was necessary. So they chose and prepared another star, carefully triggering its implosion into a supernova. This time, the newborn universe grew steadily, expanding without collapse. Encouraged, they managed to open a small white hole, creating a stable wormhole bridge into the new universe. They sent through a probe, knowing full well it could never return. It required immense energy to push matter through and maintain the passage. The probe transmitted scans back before contact was lost. It revealed an empty universe. No quarks, no particles awaiting formation into atoms, just vast, sterile quiet. The probe was the only matter there. Yet despite the emptiness, it was an enormous success. A stable universe had been created, and intact matter had successfully crossed universes. A period of intense study and theory building followed. They sought to understand which conditions allowed matter to form, conditions that would eventually support atoms and perhaps life itself. Primate towards life became their shared mantra, guiding their every effort. As their knowledge grew, a troubling realization emerged. The conditions necessary to produce a life supporting universe seemed increasingly improbable, almost impossibly delicate. This led some of the 500 to a profound, unsettling speculation. Had their own universe been deliberately created by an intelligence from a previous universe? She halted abruptly, staring at the wall in stunned silence. A creator. Now there was an idea that could shift entire worlds. She knew there had been fierce debates about the existence of a creator back in the 20th century. Entire power structures had risen around them until the prevailing idea became one of probabilistic randomness, a universe without purpose or design. Now she stood in a place where that old debate took on entirely new dimensions. She had absorbed an immense amount of knowledge in less than an hour, more than enough to fill lifetimes of study. Oldest had warned her to pace herself, but she'd clearly overdone it. Dizziness began to creep in, and an internal check revealed depleted levels of choline, critical for memory formation. Clearly, it was time for a break. She ordered some choline-rich food and returned to the surface, finding a peaceful spot overlooking desert plains, quiet ponds, and the towering silhouette of the great tree in the distance. She reflected on how the 500 had argued passionately about the motivations of potential creators. One popular theory among them had to be that the universe was crafted specifically as an incubator for intelligence. Oldest, however, strongly disagreed. He believed if that were the goal, the universe could have been designed far more effectively, tuned better to produce complex life, with planets in longer, healthier orbits offering ideal conditions for intelligence to arise. Though skeptical about a purposeful creator, Oldest agreed the question itself was important. If a higher reason existed, he wanted to uncover it. So the 500 launched another ambitious experiment, this time using a carefully prepared binary star system. One star was used to feed the other until it reached the precise mass required. The remaining stars' planets were set on stable orbits and shepherded towards Sol's orbit by one of the 500. The implosion unfolded almost perfectly as calculated, until one small discrepancy appeared. The resulting universe expanded slightly too slowly for the amount of matter it held. The newborn universe was chaotic, too hot, too turbulent to sustain lasting order. But crucially, there was abundant matter. Probes sent through the wormhole revealed the chaotic universe's brief lifespan until the connection was collapsed. When the 500 incorporated the new data into their models, it deepened their conviction that our own universe had been deliberately fine-tuned. Of all the infinite ways universes could unfold, only the narrowest subset would ever contain stable matter, and a vanishingly smaller subset still could sustain life. After this revelation, most of the 500 returned to their own projects. They had reached an impasse. While they could create universes by sacrificing suns, they remained unable to retrieve matter from these universes. Without interaction, there was no further practical gain. Still, their latest experiment had given them near certainty They could now reliably engineer universes to exact specifications. But suns were precious resources. Sacrificing them required compelling justification. It seemed to mark the conclusion of humanity's most ambitious experiment. Her mind felt as if it was on fire. In mere hours, she had absorbed lifetimes of knowledge, enough to fill multiple doctorates. Even with her expanded capacities, it was overwhelming. She needed rest, time to process what she'd learned. While life on Earth had stagnated for centuries, the immortal 500 had journeyed into the galaxy, colonizing solar systems, imploding stars, playing gods as they birthed new universes. It had completely shifted her perspective. The universe has no edge and no center, she whispered, letting the idea linger as exhaustion finally overtook her. When she awoke the following day, Oldest was waiting, an easy smile on his face. She told him she'd explored the room with the ancient object, and he nodded knowingly, unsurprised. Eagerly, she presented him with the wings she had ordered and decorated with bright flowers, wrapped like a precious gift. "What's this?" he asked, clearly delighted by the gesture. She grinned back, sensing he already knew, but enjoying the timeless dance of giving. "Open it." Moments later, with the wrapping cast aside, they stepped outside. Oldest strapped on the wing unit, listening as she began giving him verbal instructions. Then she remembered she could now simply share memories directly. Closing her eyes briefly, she visualized her flight over the fields of the cylinder station, her explorations beneath this vast dome, and sent those experiences directly to him. Oldest paused, his eyes widening in joyful surprise. "Oh," he said softly, "I see." And then, without any visible effort, the wings unfurled with elegant origami-like precision. Her skin tingled, seeing him radiantly joyful, framed by the gilded wings, centuries of curiosity and wonder shining brightly. He leaped effortlessly into the air. She watched, smiling broadly, as he soared, flipping and twisting through the air with childlike glee. After admiring him for a few moments, she strapped on her own wings and rose to join him. Together they flew, gliding gracefully over barren highlands. Even from this height, her mind revealed tiny hardy plants scattered across the terrain. Oldest spun effortlessly above her. "This is even better than surfing," he communicated, flipping upside down and back again, a playful move she'd never considered. They quickly found a rhythm, their wing beats creating currents to ride upon, exploring the incredible landscapes beneath the dome. As they soared, their minds connected fluidly. She shared her wonder at his countless achievements. He returned thoughtful explanations of his motivations and dreams. Their silent dialogue flowed as freely as their flight, exploring vast intellectual territory as effortlessly as the physical landscape below. Eventually, though, she felt the need to land. She signaled Oldest, who nodded in understanding, directing her towards a lush, vibrant location he called Monet's Garden. They descended gently, landing amidst a riotous display of color and fragrance, a garden designed as living art, a symphony of blossoms crafted by expert hands. At the garden's heart was a charming cafe, inviting them in to rest and continue their conversation. It takes a while to get used to, Oldest said aloud, stirring his tea thoughtfully. The mind has spent a lifetime accustomed to vocal speech, processing and delivering information one word at a time. Over the centuries, we lose that habit, shifting entirely to internal communication. As a result, we naturally drift apart, each becoming self-contained worlds, wandering independently throughout the galaxy. He smiled gently, dipping a biscuit into the tea her little bud had thoughtfully provided. Though I suspect the others will be eager to meet you, our first new member in many lifetimes. She imagined meeting the other members of the 500, each living universe, immortal pioneers scattered among distant stars. But first, Oldest continued, bringing her back to the present, you must return to Earth and save your city. Have you decided what you will do? She paused, letting her mind present countless possibilities before replying. I have a rough idea of what. Still working on the how. He chuckled warmly, nodding in approval. She decided then to share her ideas through their connection. Her returning to Earth, opening up the closed cities, working with Bill and Guy to orchestrate the emigration to Mars, and from Mars to Earth. She would mediate crucial knowledge from Mars ecologists. With her new PBAI enhancements, she could liberate the city's PBAIs. She would neutralize the flakes of death once and for all. Oldest considered her thoughts carefully, then smiled with sincere pride. Good. Humanity's future is clearly in good hands. She felt a momentary flutter of anxiety at the weight of expectation, though even that quickly passed. Rather than overwhelmed, she felt energized by the possibilities. She was ready now, ready to see Cy, Beth, Bill, and all her friends. Her ship alone could change their lives, but with the PBAI's capabilities and access to the station's resources, she could transform entire worlds. She would build new stations, new cities, all the while safeguarding Earth's slowly recovering biodiversity. Be mindful, though, Oldest cautioned, clearly sensing her ambitious thoughts. Half the population will become dependent on you, seeing you as their savior and expecting you to solve every problem. The other half will resent you for taking their autonomy, labeling you as just another power they must oppose. They see the world as a stairway where you are either climbing or being climbed, and they justify their actions, no matter how immoral, as necessary. Oldest paused, suddenly appearing older, carrying the weight of countless memories. I believe the collapse of Earth's biosphere was just too much for us. It hurt deeply because it didn't have to happen. Could have been prevented if humanity had learned to cooperate. But when it threatened to occur a second time, we stepped in and then left the Earth behind to nurture life among the stars. She nodded slowly, recalling what she'd learned from the tablet. I read about your manifesto. how you tried to warn everyone, but instead your message sparked war. He sighed deeply, regret evident in his eyes. I handled that terribly. Pride blinded me. When self-interested factions rose up, I took it personally, fighting back openly. Had I remained patient, they would have slowly lost power and influence until they would have faded from history. Instead, my actions incited them at the peak of their power. I should have thought it through before acting. It was a painful lesson, one I vowed never to waste. They walked together quietly, crossing a bridge that spanned an explosion of color. Flowers arranged carefully in an homage to Monet's famous gardens. She listened attentively as Oldest explained how the Impressionist painter had built his garden to guide and inspire his art, a place for thought and beauty. He nodded slowly, turning to her, his eyes filled with quiet gratitude. Every tree, every flower, every creature under this dome was chosen or designed with intention. Over centuries, it became more than a project. It became my home, a reflection of myself. The station kept me going, gave me purpose, gave me peace. He paused, and a wistful smile crossed his face, softening his features. There is a story that I read as a child, The Little Prince. It has been an inspiration and a comfort to me, reminding me to preserve my innocence. He looked around at the garden surrounding them, its gentle life slowly breathing beneath the distant stars and the looming gaze of Saturn. I always loved how the prince cared for his little planet, how he nurtured that single rose. He understood something so simple, yet so profound, that we become responsible forever for what we have tamed. This station, he gestured softly, has been my little planet, my rose. His voice grew softer, quieter, and now it is soon time to leave it behind. She felt the weight of his words deeply, wanting to ask but hesitating for a long moment, fearful of what his answer might mean. Where are you going? He turned to her, a glint in his eye. I am almost ready with the fourth experiment. She stared back at him, needing a moment to realize what he meant. When it clicked, her eyes widened. Another universe? He nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips. The great question still remains. Is there some intelligent creator? And if so, what was the reason he created this universe? Many of the 500 believe it was to bring forth intelligent life. Yet, if that is true, it could have been done far more effectively, in my opinion. So we really have no clue. We might just as well have been some cosmic kid's school project. He laughed softly at his own absurd thought. Oldest leaned forward lightly, voice shifting. With the next stellar implosion, we will put everything we have learned into practice, creating a universe specifically primed for life, higher life. There will be a billion stars, with countless planets in stable orbits within habitable zones. Gas giants orbited by moons with subsurface oceans. Unlike our universe, its expansion will slow down rather than accelerate, leaving life ample time to emerge, evolve, and flourish. She was surprised by how quickly she absorbed his words, clearly having expected something grand. How will you know? I thought the way between universes was only temporary. What is different this time? She asked, not seeing the solution. Me, he said, gazing straight at her. I plan to cross over into that newly formed universe, bringing along everything I need to set up on the other side. And there it was. Oldest was going to create a new universe and become its caretaker, its god. On one hand, it fit with her early expectations of him as the great and powerful oldest man in the universe. But not this man she had come to know during her stay here. He did not strike her as someone who sought after power or glory, rather someone who tried to avoid it. There was some missing piece to this puzzle. Why? She asked, unable to hide the hurt creeping into her voice. Even if you survive, you will be cut off from this universe. Are you going to spend billions of years building infrastructure, waiting for someone to emerge to fill it? She said and regretted it. She realized that she was resenting him for saying that he was leaving, still feeling as if he was saying her his final farewell. Oldest met her gaze with gentle understanding, seeming to see into her conflicted heart. Oh, I'll find ways to keep myself busy, survival being the first of them, and then I will have to build up from scratch. The journey through the wormhole leaves little room for excess, only the bare necessities. As he spoke, he sent her a detailed data package that was full of details about his carefully thought out plans. She instructed her inner mind to store it away for later, wanting instead to remain fully present in this moment, sitting here at the edge of the world, discussing creation itself with the oldest man ever to have lived, someone planning to become a god. It was so wonderfully preposterous that it made her laugh. He smiled at that and set his empty glass on a nearby table. My main goal is to answer that ultimate question. How did our universe come to be? Why was it made? She tilted her head, confused. But how will you do that? You'll be one layer further away than we are now. Oldest nodded thoughtfully. Exactly. Here we hit a wall. We have no clue how to connect with, scan for, probe into, or anyway get data from the universe we came out of. A dead end of experimentation. However, we do know everything we need to know about this universe, and in time, I will know the new universe as well. So I'm betting on being able to use that knowledge to discover a way to bridge from the new layer back up to here. I mean to find out if that is possible. He paused, gaze drifting out to the vastness of space. Until then, my side project will be to nurture more intelligence into the multiverse. She hesitated, then voiced her uncertainty. But does it really matter what the creator of our universe intended? Even if they exist, they clearly can't interact with us, right? Seems we have the reins in our hands. He chuckled. Yes, yes. Many of the others share your idea on that one. They accused me of being obsessive, and I don't disagree. I just think that you don't get to be my age without having an obsession to drive you. Understanding has been mine. So, if there really is a creator, I want to find a way to meet them someday and ask them why, even if the answer turns out to be a playful, casual, why not? As he spoke, the station orbit of Titan was bringing Saturn into view outside the dome. Oldest paused for a moment before continuing. And if I can build that bridge, if I can find the way to travel from the new universe to this one, will I then be able to continue on from our universe to the parent one, and then beyond, following the path through the layers of cosmic history as far as I can go, studying the patterns and discrepancies that could reveal the deeper truth about the multiverse? He gave her a grin. Seems like a worthwhile obsession for an immortal, don't you think? She smiled, nodded, and said, if there ever was. The station is an integral part, he continued more seriously, glancing around at the surrounding beauty of the dome. Without it, we couldn't have made the white holes needed to connect to the black holes in order to create stable wormholes, linking the universes. It is my bridge home. It will need someone to look after it. She looked up at this. He was looking at her questioningly. Me? She said. You want me to? And stopped, not knowing how to finish the question. He smiled, then spoke gently. I still need time to prepare, so it won't be for a while. Decades, really. We do not want to rush it. Slightest mistake, and I will be stuck in a world without heavy elements, he said, jokingly, but with a clear, serious undertone. But when I go, I would really appreciate it if you would care for it. There was no question, of course. And then it was time for her to return to Earth, to the people she had left behind, to fulfill the purpose that had driven her so far. Their last day together on the station they spent flying through the spectacular landscapes, sharing stories and silences. He shared with her many more incredible areas as he went over things she should check on, as if he was giving guidance on how to take care of a beloved pet. She promised to take good care of it. When it came time to leave, her ship stood ready, humming softly. She felt a subtle ache as the docking mechanism released. The ship and station began to grow apart, glowing dome fading, outshone by Saturn. Now intimately connected with the ship, her expanded mind mapped out systems effortlessly, plotting courses and potential futures at a mere thought. Her understanding felt boundless, and the ship responded to her new perceptions perfectly, smoothly accelerating sunwards. During the journey, she ventured inward, immersing herself in the vast, infinite realm within her augmented consciousness. Endless worlds layered upon worlds, dreams and data intertwined in perpetual expansion. She could grasp the allure of it now, how easy and wonderful it would be to vanish into those infinite explorations forever, leaving behind the imperfect, broken world she had come from. She would stay, guided by compassion and purpose, dedicated to healing and nurturing the living beings who had helped her shape her life thus far. She would use her newfound power to build, to grow, and to improve conditions for life throughout the solar system, at least for another 1,000 years or so. The end.